The date is September 8th. I will now call this town council meeting for the town of Mount Airy to order. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. But first, I'd like to bring in some special guests. We have Troop 1191 with the American Legion. If you would, please come forward and you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And whenever you're ready. If you guys are ready. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Oh, schools. Yep, that's my dad. Or, that's my son. Thank you. That's awesome. That's my dad. Pop says, what's up? Thank you very much for the assistance, Troop 191. I'm sorry, 1191. We'll be seeing them here again very soon. Next up on the agenda is our presentations portion. First up, I'm going to relinquish to our mayor, Mayor Hushhour, for a proclamation.
Test, test. All right, I'd ask Martina to please come up and join us, as well as Karen Hawkins. And we're going to start by letting Karen talk about Frontotemporal Degeneration Awareness Week, and then I'll read the proclamation. Thank you. Go ahead, Karen.
This way?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm not good with mics, I can tell you. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. Hi. My name is Karen Hawkins, and I've been a Mount Airy resident for 30 years. I certainly am not a big fan of public speaking, but I'm here tonight because I'm passionate about spreading awareness of a disease called frontotemporal degeneration, or FTD for short. I thank you all ahead of time for being willing to listen for a few minutes to learn about this disease, and I want to thank Mayor Hushhour, along with town staff members Colleen Riley, Holly McCleary, and Martina Hatley for allowing me to speak to you tonight, and for issuing a proclamation declaring the week of September 21st to 28th as FTD Awareness Week for our town. From a show of hands in this room, how many of you have had a family member or friend who has had Alzheimer's disease? Okay. As you can see, there's a vast awareness of and a common understanding of this disease. Most doctors and lay people can recognize the early signs, memory being the first and foremost. But how many of you have heard of the disease frontotemporal degeneration? I'm glad to see it. Okay, some of you may know now about it because of the courage of Bruce Willis's wife and his family recently sharing about his struggle with this disease. Awareness is surely increasing about neurodegenerative diseases from having a celebrity share their story, such as Lou Gehrig for ALS and Michael J. Fox for Parkinson's. I guess I'm your local celebrity. I'm kidding, of course. Why am I here to talk about it? Because many doctors either don't know about it at all or they don't recognize many of the early and different signs that make FTD unique. They estimate that 60,000 people are currently diagnosed with FTD, so it is considered a rare disease, but most in the field believe it is very underdiagnosed. Chances are there are other Mount Airy families touched by this, either knowingly or unknowingly. This picture is of my mom. As you can see, the resemblance is clear. I have to claim her. The reason I'm showing you this picture is because my mom had just been diagnosed with FTD the month before it was taken. That was at exactly the age I am now, 58. Only she began noticing changes in herself at age 49. After nearly a 4-year process, we finally got her the correct diagnosis, and she immediately lost her job and had to give up driving following the diagnosis. She had planned to work for an additional 4 years and certainly did not expect to retire on disability at that time. There are many different dementias that involve neurodegeneration in the brain. But FTD is not the same as Alzheimer's. If you see this picture, this is my grandmother and my mom, soon after my mom had been placed in a locked memory care facility at the age of 63. My grandmother had mild to moderate Alzheimer's at this time, and my mother was in the moderate stage of FTD at that time. My grandmother had been able to be taken care of in our home for 2 years until she went to assisted living, and fortunately did not have to progress to a nursing home herself as my mother had. Emma Hemming Willis, the wife of Bruce Willis, in her interviews this past week with Diane Sawyer said, FTD does not scream, it whispers, at least at first. My grandmother and I were very close to my mom on a daily basis, and we began to feel that something was amiss, things that made you just go, While to many others, she seemed just fine for a very long time. Early on, my mother was aware there was something wrong, but when we became aware, she showed a hallmark symptom of FTD known as anosognosia, where she did not have insight into it any longer. She thought she was fine. My grandmother, on the other hand, was keenly aware of her own issues with memory and would become frustrated and emotional at them. I am going to explain a few bits and pieces of my own experience as a caregiver to my mother, who had FTD, and my grandmother, who had Alzheimer's. But first, I want you to contrast them. Both are neurodegenerative diseases, just as other related dementias are, but there are distinguishing characteristics about them. They look more alike in the later stages, but differ from each other, especially in the beginning when those whispers are occurring. This makes it a very difficult disease for both the patient and family for a variety of reasons. The first is it has different symptoms. While Alzheimer's primarily starts with memory issues, FTD involves really the things that make us human or unique from each other. These include personality changes, apathy, and unexplained struggles with decision-making, movement, speaking, language comprehension, and a person often just appears physically fine. That is because FTD affects the frontal and the temporal lobes of the brain, where personality, empathy, sense of humor, insight, language, inhibition, decision-making, and reasoning reside. Alzheimer's, on the other hand, typically results in degeneration starting in the parietal lobes in the back, and that is why people often have memory issues and difficulties recognizing people. While my grandmother experienced some of these other symptoms in the later stages, I had what I call the personhood of my grandmother for much longer into the disease, the things that made her uniquely her, while the person I knew as my mother slipped away day by day. The age of onset is another difference. While there are early onset forms of Alzheimer's, FTD is the most common dementia under the age of 60. Most people diagnosed with FTD are between the ages of 45 and 64. But there are people as young as 21 and as old as 80 with the disease. For Alzheimer's disease, most people are diagnosed between 75 to 84 with an average age of diagnosis for all dementias of 83, while the average age for FTD is 56. Let's think about that. For most people, that is the peak earning years in their jobs. They are often raising young children and maybe taking care of their own elderly parents. Many people haven't secured life insurance yet or long-term care insurance, and they make poor financial decisions. My mother was living with her parents at the time she began showing symptoms. And as they were aging in their 70s and 80s, she was the one who was supposed to be helping her parents. My grandmother was 82 when my mom was diagnosed. Just prior to my mother's diagnosis, my grandfather passed. So then I, as a 41-year-old, and my husband, as a 42-year-old, became part of not just the sandwich generation, but what I call the club sandwich generation, as we took care of my mother, grandmother, and our 3 daughters who were aged 11, 8, and 6 at the time. I have met various families who had children in their 20s and 30s with this disease. So many have taken care of their grown children, their children's children, and their own parents. Many people who I know who had loved ones at younger ages were told that it simply couldn't be dementia because they were too young. That is untrue. Dementia is not always an old person disease. I have a close friend whose daughter was diagnosed with FTD at age 27 and passed away at 31. I myself have daughters now who are 24, 26, and 28, so that it's close to home. Due to the different symptoms of FTD and the often slow, insidious onset of them, it is often missed entirely or misdiagnosed, such as depression, menopause, mental health issues, etc. So often people can potentially become involved with law enforcement, get divorced, get into physical altercations, experience job loss without even knowing the cause. They can become obsessed with gambling, pornography, alcohol, drugs due to lack of inhibition. You can imagine the effect that this has on families that often have young children still in the home. Because of the age of onset and different symptoms, it takes an average of 3.6 years to get a diagnosis versus a bit over 2 to get a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and that's when family members or doctors even recognize what's going on. Looking back, my mother recognized signs in herself as early as 49, and I started noticing signs of something amiss in her early to mid-50s. Once I began to realize that it was progressive, it took nearly 4 years to figure out what it truly was. Many doctors, especially back in the 2000s, did not recognize the early signs. After writing a 4-page letter about my mother's symptoms, the first neurologist we saw was perplexed and said that her MRI had a better-looking brain than his. Unlike Alzheimer's, there are different subgroups of FTD based on the areas of brain affected first. There's primary progressive aphasia, which involves language loss, and that's why early on Bruce Willis was told that he had aphasia. Behavioral variant, which involves behavior and personality, a subtype where ultimately people get FTD and ALS, which is very sad, and there are other motor disorders under the umbrella of FTD. In the end stages, most dementias look similar. My mother eventually needed assistance with all of her activities of daily living, except walking, just how people with other dementias often do in the end stages. My grandmother was well aware that she was experiencing memory issues. In her early stages of Alzheimer's, she had her sense of humor, was able to follow directions and participate in conversations, remained affectionate and interested in her family, etc. However, the early stages of my mother's disease included things that just made you go, There were just glimmers at first, and she would have lots of good days, and then the symptoms grew increasingly more noticeable. My mother was a very empathetic and friendly person. She began being apathetic towards activities and her grandchildren, flatter in her affect, and she removed herself to another room during family functions. She sometimes became overwhelmed if there was too much noise or activity and would cover her ears or close her eyes. At other times, she would laugh at inappropriate times, and her laugh changed to an odd quality and sound. My mother was an impeccable employee who began making uncharacteristic errors, sometimes becoming confrontational, and she became very anxious about new changes and procedures at work. But her memory remained intact for much of the duration of her disease. She insisted on sameness. She wanted certain people to sit in certain places and bought the same foods or items over and over again. She had many packs of Zatarain's rice, bananas, cartons of half and half, and rows of the same lotion, deodorant, and body wash in her linen closet. She went on food jags with certain foods and gained weight and craved sweets. I was a speech-language pathologist for 32 years and was on a team that worked with autistic children at the time. I began telling my colleagues that it was as if my mother was becoming autistic, only I knew that autism is intrinsic to an individual and not acquired later in life. She began obsessing about topics such as Harry Potter, religion, the new pandas at the zoo. She would also shift topics, be unable to follow the back and forth of conversations, or simply walk away and ignore people. She also became obsessed with buying certain things, such as keychains, stuffed animals, coloring books, and white tennis shoes. Her language deteriorated. She would say incorrect words or things, use telegraphic sentences, or become repetitive or perseverative. She sometimes echoed back her own phrases over and over again, or those of others, and sometimes even environmental sounds like the backing up of a truck. Ultimately, she was entirely mute for the last 6 years of her life, out of the 10 that she lived after diagnosis. There were other obsessive-compulsive types of behaviors, such as reading road signs out loud, wringing her hands, watching the speedometer, making sure I was going exactly the same speed limit, opening and closing closets, dresser drawers, and cupboards repeatedly, and spraying and wiping the counters each time she entered the kitchen. She was paranoid and often locked all the doors and windows, even when there was no AC, including often locking my grandmother out of the house. Over the course of a few years, she had several fender benders when she was still driving that may have been due to lack of attention, delayed reaction time, or difficulty with decision-making on the spot. In the community, my grandmother often encountered people who were patient and helpful. They recognized that she was slower physically and helped her if she was confused or didn't remember things. My mother, on the other hand, as I said before, had no visible or physical signs of any disorder. And remember, she looked just like I do now, walking around. Therefore, there were sticky situations at times. Due to her insistence on sameness and need for repetition and structure, our Thursdays were outing days with both my grandmother and mother, and I'll share with you some little tidbits to describe how FTD manifests itself in our little Mount Airy community. In the early mornings on Tuesday, my mother, who was in assisted living by then, would call repeatedly, and each time I would answer, she would say, "Mom, pick me up, Walmart." She could still tell time and knew would come at 11, but she could not get the thought out of her head or keep herself from compulsively calling. My grandmother, on the other hand, was often confused or didn't remember about the time or day we were going. I would have to put the child safety lock on this and put her in the back seat because she would keep telling me what the speed was in the car or try to open the door before it stopped, of the car stopping. As we arrived at the store, she insisted on pushing the cart and wasn't always patient about waiting for others. She always bought the same things and knew exactly where they were. She was on a mission. She did not overspend or ever shoplift because she had close supervision. But because of lack of inhibition, there are people with FTD who do and get caught by law enforcement. She loved little children and would have to be stopped from approaching them to pat their heads. Sometimes people with FTD talk to or touch people inappropriately, and we can guess what that means. At the checkout stand, she would need assistance with using the machine, although she denied that she did, and she had difficulty following directions or answering questions. As we would leave the store, she was a prime target for someone trying to sell or sign her up for something, which was difficult to divert her from. And again, I was with her, she looked like me, and people would wonder why I was stopping her from doing that. She often had an FTD face, I call it, either a blank stare or scowl, where she had once been a very smiley person. This was off-putting to other people. After going to Walmart on Thursdays, she then wanted to go to Lido's. She loved Lido's. At Lido's, she would get up and fill her own drinks at the waitress stand. Luckily, we went to the restaurant at a quiet time of day, and we often had the same waitress who knew of the situation. She would always order the same exact thing. If it was loud in there, she would get overwhelmed, close her eyes, cover her ears, or place the menu on top of her face. When out in public, I would subtly show someone this little awareness card. It would have information about what her disease was so that it preserved my mother's dignity and it also increased awareness. The greeter and the manager at all the familiar places we went were aware of the needs of them. Whenever I saw a state police or Mount Airy, it was state troopers then, I introduced my mother and grandmother so they were aware if they ever saw them alone somewhere. My mother would leave our home and later the assisted living, but she knew where she was going. However, she would also go and try to open car doors and glove compartments when she managed to get out of the house on her own. My grandmother, on the other hand, would become disoriented if she was left alone outside. My mother and grandmother both spent time at our local Lorien assisted living facility in the later stages, which was 2 blocks away from my house. My mother at the time was the second youngest person there and posed unique challenges to the staff. Some who are still there have memorable stories about my mom, such as trying to push people in wheelchairs, sneaking food out of the kitchen, and stacking items compulsively or watering the plants all the time. I am telling you these things to help you recognize possible signs of FTD in your loved ones or others in the community. Even though my mother passed away 8 years ago, I have continued to serve as a volunteer on the advocacy team with the Association for Frontotemporal Degeneration. They are using grassroots efforts to obtain proclamations and resolutions across the country to hold FTD awareness weeks. Better awareness helps people be diagnosed sooner, and it allows families to get the proper legal, financial, medical, and long-term supports in place as it occurs in younger adults. It also helps the caregivers and immediate families. With greater awareness comes more and more clinical trials and ultimately a cure. I know that I want this disease to be part of my past and not my children's future. I sincerely thank Mayor Hushhour and his staff for issuing a proclamation for designating FTD awareness in the town of Mount Airy for September 21st to 28th. I have also secured the same proclamation from Governor Wes Moore for the state of Maryland. I want to thank all of you for listening and learning. For any of you present, or for any that may be watching remotely, if you are seeing or hearing those whispers of FTD, changes that may be uncharacteristic in your loved ones, or things that just make you go, or seem off, please refer to the helpline or website for the Association of FTD. Got it on my shirt, www.aftd.org. The number for the helpline is on the website. The town also has my contact information if anyone wants to reach out to me locally with any further information or support. I have had a couple families before that had loved ones who have also passed, but if there's somebody out there that wants help, I can help you. I'm going to be asking the town if they can post some resources that may be of interest during Awareness Week. Emma Hemming Willis is actually releasing her book called The Unexpected Journey tomorrow. She has also been talking about her journey with various podcasts, so you can find out more information if you're interested. Thank you for your time.
Martina, did you have anything to add?
No, she covered everything. It was great.
Well, that's quite a rundown. Appreciate it, Karen. So we do have a proclamation, Frontotemporal Degeneration Awareness Week, September 21 through 28 of 2025. And we do these proclamations for different causes throughout the town, especially things that involve diseases of this type. So we're going to post this up by the front door. You covered a lot of it in your speech, so we'll step in front of the podium, get a picture. Martina, thank you for your work on this as well.
New camera, so putting some funky butterflies on my head. So we got a different camera here because that is not good. Say again?
She's going to be speaking to the whole group, so wherever you want that. Carrie, you can come on up. I'll give you a bit of an angle so that you can talk behind you and in front of you at the same time.
Thank you.
So next up under presentations, we would welcome the Carroll County Public Library regarding the interactive bell structure donated by the Kiwanis Club of Mount Airy to create an outdoor music garden unveiling and celebration on Saturday, September 13th at 10 a.m. So I believe this is Miss Carrie Kelly, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Manager for the Mount Airy Library.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Hushhour and the Town Council, apologies, for having me here tonight. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about an exciting event that we have coming up at the library, but also to kind of introduce myself and reintroduce the library and talk a little bit about this month of September, that is Library Card Sign-Up Month as well. But I'll be brief with your time. So I was asked to attend tonight just to talk about a couple of these things. Again, my name is Carrie Kelly. I'm very happy to be here. I brought along with me this evening Amy Miller-Myers, who is our Children's Services Supervisor at the library. we see a lot of familiar faces here tonight, but also Amy and I were just brought in our present roles at the Mount Airy Library branch in the last year. So if we haven't seen you and touched base with you yet, we certainly will. And we're very excited about being in the community. Of course, we've been in the community for a while with Carroll County Public Library, but we often get asked, being in this really amazing and unique town that is divided between 4 counties, who can get a library card, who cannot get a library card, or even just what services we offer. I get a lot of people who say they're not avid readers, which is A-OK. We do a lot of things other than just peddling books, even though that is one of our favorite things to do. So with this September Library Card Sign-Up Month, I gave you all packets, and I have packets for the public, for anybody who wants to take some with you. It has a little bit, a brochure about our library branch, the Mount Airy branch of Carroll County Public Library, some information about the services we have. All Mount Airy residents and anybody who works in Mount Airy can obtain a library card for free of charge. We're really all about access and letting people get that access at our library branch. So if you haven't been in a while, I encourage you all to either get your library card or check in to make sure that your old library card still works with us. We have a lot of services, like I said, other than just physical books, audiobooks, and ebooks. We have a lot of statewide resources that you can come to us for, that we can get you things from all over the state and sometimes even the nation. We have a library of things. You can actually get fishing poles and stamps and Chromebooks, and we now have board games and puzzles and things that you can also check out from the library. A lot of people don't know that we have a free movie streaming service, which is wonderful and helps with access for everyone trying to get those hard-to-get documentaries or movies that really are getting more and more expensive to pay for those services. We also have language learning app that is free for people. We have online tutoring. We have all sorts of resources at the library that you do just need to get a library card and PIN number set up so that you can access them. One of my favorite things to tell people too, we have a lot of digital access to news resources. So every time I hear a complaint, somebody's forwarded an article or is on social media and they hit that firewall, you can actually get the Carroll County Times or Baltimore Sun for free by just putting in your library card number and your PIN number. So we really do have a little bit of something for everybody, including our programs. Another reason I wanted to be here tonight is because we are really growing a lot in this town and as a library system, and we really want to encourage community partnerships. We've already had the police force has been out and read to some kids. We've had the fire department out doing demonstrations. Every month we have a social worker from the Department of Human Services that comes to provide advice and services to customers. We also have the Carroll County Health Mobile on Wheels, where they can do blood pressure, some basic medical testing as well. We really want to work with you in the community to provide as many resources and highlight the resources that are already here as well in the community and just bring access to people that way. So we would love to see you all at the library, whether it's for one of our programs or just to stop in and check up on your library card or just to enjoy the meeting spaces that we have as well. Just to give you an idea, we are not the library that you might think of from your childhood with shushing librarians. We do wear cardigans still and comfortable shoes, but we try not to shush anybody. We're actually pretty robust and busy on a regular basis. So just last year for the library branch, this was our fiscal year that went from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. The Mount Airy branch alone welcomed 103,902 visitors through our doors. We loaned out 439,396 items. That includes books, as well as video games, DVDs, and all of our other items. We gave out 1,775 new library cards. I would really love to make it an extra 2,000 this year. And we hosted 712 free programs. So I know a lot of folks know about our amazing story times that Miss Amy and her staff do for our preschool group, but we have programs for kids of all ages. We have programs for teens, programs for adults, family programs. They just did an escape room recently, and it was really fabulous to see grandparents and parents and kids all doing those things together. So a lot of really fun, entertaining things. Those programs last year in the fiscal year, we had 18,389 attendees at those programs. And our meeting room spaces that I mentioned briefly, we provided 4,271 individual meeting room reservations. So we have not only a space that you can meet your friend just to have coffee, we do allow food and drinks in the library as well. So if you grab your coffee from one of our local places and come in, meet a friend, you can either meet at a table. We have private study rooms for individuals up to 4 people. We have our small meeting room and our large meeting room that accommodates up to 75 people. So we have homeowners associations and all sorts of organizations that use those resources. And I just want to emphasize that we really are there for everyone in town. This is not our library, this is your library, and we want you to take advantage of all of those opportunities that we have. So with that said, we have a few programs that are coming up. We try to partner with as many people in the community to do our programming as possible. We want to highlight how amazing the town of Mount Airy is, as well as, like I said, provide as much services that are needed to our community. We partner with businesses. We have a craft program coming up just over at our bookstore here on Main Street, The Last Word, on the 17th. We have a ghost tour that we're doing in conjunction with the Historical Society. They have their walking tours in October that are always super popular, and they came to us asking about accessibility. And so we're going to do a virtual walking tour in the library where anybody who can come who may not be able to do a physical walking tour. And then for our seniors, we also have a really cool program coming up that we're partnering with the town, your Commission on Aging and Livability, along with State Farm, the Carroll County Health Department, and the Maryland Department of Transportation, called CarFit, that will be coming up in October. With that said, again, this Saturday is our big celebration that Mayor Hushhour is going to be doing a ribbon cutting for us. I'll go back here as well. So we invite everybody to be there. Our Kiwanis Club of Mount Airy has been giving generously to the library for many, many years. This year they came up with a plan along with our Children's Services Supervisor here, Amy, to expand our library to bring something to the community that is not within our physical walls. So there's this really cool company called Percussion Play that makes musical sculptures, basically. So we've installed, thanks to the Kiwanis Club's donation, this really amazing, beautiful sculpture that we've seen seniors play with, we've seen kids play with, and everybody in between. And this Saturday morning at the Mount Airy branch, we are going to have a huge celebration. Mayor Hushhour will be there to do a ribbon cutting. Our director for Carroll County Public Library, Andrea Bursler, she'll be there to talk. We have a free concert with the Acoustic Chicks that I've heard is one of the favorite local bands in Mount Airy. We've had them and they're fantastic. We'll have free cake, and it's going to be all ages. So even if you weren't involved in the donation to the library for this, this is a community event that we invite everybody to come out and have a really great time. So again, that's this Saturday at 10 a.m. Hopefully we'll see you all there. We're really looking forward to it. And again, I encourage you all to stop by if you haven't stopped by in a while. Encourage your friends to stop by. We, of course, appreciate this wonderful donation from the Kiwanis, but when people ask me, what is the best thing we can do to support your services, it really is to use our services, to get to know us and what we do, and to use those services, because that's what really keeps us in business. So I welcome you all out, and thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, we will welcome our Planning Commission President, Mr. Ralph Gant. And this is regarding the Southside Plaza Medical Buildings with the final plans and elevations for discussion.
First, thank you, Council President Washabaugh, Mayor, and council members and town staff for the opportunity to give about a 15-minute brief and to the public. The reason for this brief is really twofold. First, it's to show the community and the council that within the law of Maryland, the Planning Commission, which is 7 volunteers within your community, and I'll pause a moment because I think they are 2 here tonight, Martina Hatley and Bill Butts. But your 7 volunteer commissioners handle a lot of applications that come through John Breeden, the Director of Planning, as developers, as a variety of people apply for certain developments, and they usually come before the Planning Commission for a rigorous scrub, a review, and then final decision-making as it goes through the stages of that development application. All of this is spelled out in the town code, and so we abide by the code and we stay rigorous with it. But tonight, we did a little bit of flexing on making sure that a commercial development could stay on track and not be limited to our monthly meetings because, as you may know, within the state of Maryland, a very rigorous Open Meetings Acts require us to do our volunteer business once a month. And as you can appreciate, that can be very arduous or time-consuming as we try to work through the calendar for an application and any rough edges on it that we want to smooth out. The other goal for tonight is basically to show you and the public then what was decided with regard to this commercial building. And again, this is kind of out of the norm, but we felt like this commercial development was sizable enough with 2 large buildings and located on South Main Street that it would be wise for us to kind of share this back from the commission to the public and the council to see what's forthcoming as permitting begins with the Director of Planning and so on and so forth, grading, building, and that kind of construction. So let's get at it. The topics up here is I'm going to give you an overview of how we got to determining the exterior appearances, what we call elevations of the buildings, the 2 buildings, a history of how we went through that, and then finally I'll kind of wrap up with what happens next and then entertain any questions if we have time, and I'll defer, of course, to the council president for a question period. So, and I apologize for the people that may have to crank their neck a bit. So a quick overview is we're talking about the addresses up at South Main Street, basically where it does a dogleg, I call it a dogleg, a junction with Rising Ridge Road. Another way to look at it, if you know where Papa John's is, and you just go south of Papa John's, and that's basically where the parcel will be for this development. You can take a look over here that it is 2 buildings, and I'll refer to Building A. That's the one most closest to South Main Street. And then a little deeper within that very linear lot is Building B. Excuse me, Building B. Building A will be focused on rehabilitation for patients with Alzheimer's and dementia. And then also Building B will be the actual doctor's offices. And of course, there'll be a large parking lot that goes the length of both of those buildings. The space in between those buildings, that green area there, I don't know, John, if you have your laser handy. There you go. That's actually Comcast or Verizon?
Comcast.
Comcast. That's actually a Comcast area for a lot of our internet service, and there is a windowless concrete building in the woods at that location, which provides a lot of the high-speed bandwidth into the town's users for Comcast subscribers. And I only mention that is because why it's notched like that on that particular meets and bounds of that property. The site is zoned limited commercial. The people that we worked with are shown here, from the engineer to the developer to the architect. And again, the land use is going to be a medical facility campus aimed at this kind of patient. Although I'm going to speak primarily about the external elevations of the 2 buildings, I do want to add for the public, in particular any of the residents that are along Rising Ridge Road, We took a lot of effort among the 7 commissioners, putting ourselves in the shoes of those residents to make sure that any construction here would be buffered or screened from those commercial buildings. Trying to appreciate, if I had a home over there in that area, would I want to look out my back and see that? So we did also include in the approved plans appropriate screening and buffering, including landscaping, including mature trees, and including an 8-foot fence, if I recall. Next slide. So what began in the final plans was a building that was depicted like this by the architect and the engineer. And if you can put yourself in a car, this is a view from Carl and I coming from the Chick-fil-A going up the hill. Not really. Oh, okay, Barney and me. And this really doesn't do it justice, but it's a key point to say to the public that your 7 volunteer commissioners saw this engineer's depiction and we didn't like it. It was a very sterile-looking building. It was very white. It was very antiseptic. And immediately all 7 like-minded commissioners say, we don't think it's in, quote, harmony, unquote, with the surrounding shopping area, the new eye center that's across the street. You follow me? And so that began the discussion now on how we can make this better, working with the applicant and his folks. Next slide. So what we decided on May 19th when we had that last look, with that we would flex and create a committee. Now you have to understand, a quorum requires public observation, Maryland law. So we established a quorum of only 3 so that we wouldn't establish a quorum. We established a committee, and the committee of myself, Commissioner Heather Wallace, and Commissioner Steve O'Malley, in conjunction with the Director of Planning, agreed to now flex and on our own time work with these folks to try to improve how that building was going to look. What we then did was, next slide, we sat down with the revised building elevations that we received in June. And by the way, before that, we went around town and took pictures of all those surrounding buildings, so we had kind of a reference point of what harmony means. What kind of stone are on those other buildings? What kind of colors are in those other buildings, so that we could kind of get that to mirror that kind of appearance up on South Main Street. So we looked at the initial plans and we didn't like them because there was no masonry along the bottom. And masonry adds a really nice texture if you add it as a belt around any commercial building. And we have that around several buildings in that area. So we began by saying you need to add more masonry to add the texture and kind of de-sterilize that flat white facade. And the panels had to change color from stark, bright white to a more muted, calm color. And those panels are called EIFS panels. It's an engineering term, but it's kind of the rage right now with what kind of construction material is fast, it's highly insulated. It's a standard really with large commercial buildings with flat facades. Next. So we looked at that and we got them to wrap the first floor with masonry, and I have a sample of the masonry. And we also asked them if they could extend it around the back. Now you have to understand the north side is the side that goes toward Papa John's, and that's wooded. So there was some negotiation with the architect about whether that added cost of extending the belt of masonry around the back was absolutely necessary. So what I'm also conveying here is we had a give and take with the people that actually build commercial buildings. Next slide. So what we finally settled on was that the EIFS panels would be a light gray. I know it says off-white here, but they are going to be light gray. We're going to have gray metal panels, a muted gray metal panel for the metal portion, and then the belt around the first floor will be called Storm Cloud Gray or Vantage 30. It's an Eldorado stone veneer that goes around that first floor. Next slide. So essentially now, this is what the south view will be. Again, the backside is the side toward Papa John's. When we looked at this, one more slide, we went ahead and allowed that it not, that's a bump out extension on the rear, so we granted, and it was an engineering problem to try to wrap the stone into that corner. Next slide. Next slide. And then on this one, this is the north side that's kind of against the woods. We did make one more change. We required them to add the gray metal surround on the second floor, to add them also for symmetry to the first floor, to be consistent, so to speak. And the architect has agreed to that. So that's basically the building now, that we went from a kind of a, I'll use the term, white elephant, to something that is more muted, calmer, and I think more attractive, and certainly more in harmony with buildings that are around it, with the stone in particular. Our next steps are, we're going to get from the architect, Mr. Richard Washburn, the paper copies of the revised plans showing these changes, along with the Mylars. John and I will review them together, we'll sign them together, and then that begins the point where they now can come in and begin permitting for grading and moving dirt up in that area. John, do you want to add anything on next steps?
Well, yeah, really, the next step would be improvement plans or construction documents, and then we'll get into the permitting part of it. But again, we're still looking at probably 12 months or so before a shovel will hit the ground, probably.
Right.
Maybe 9 to 12 to 18.
Gotcha. So again, this is an example where, you know, we tried to keep things moving rather than wait another month. And I believe in the end, we've got a better looking set of buildings that blend better into that area up there. I defer to you, Council President. Any questions you may have from the council?
Anyone have any questions at all?
This was an unusual, thank you, Mayor, sorry about that. This was an unusual way of solving a problem by breaking out into what I call like little work session. Why did you feel the need for that to occur? Because normally it's like done at a meeting once a month or something. Were there concerns or problems with that approach, the normal approach?
When the motion was made at the Planning Commission to go this route, there was, of course, we always have the great legal counsel from Attorney Tom McCarron. There was no issue with taking this as long as we didn't establish another quorum, which would be 4 or more commission members. So we kept it to a small committee of 3, and I really do have to hand accolades to the Director of Planning, because now instead of pushing this to another month down the road, we were able to keep the energy from that May 19th evening, and Councilmember Evans, I think you remember that evening also. We were able to keep the thoughts alive, the energy alive, and we rolled right into now keeping the dialogue going. Why? When we wrote the master plan, your 7 volunteer commissioners wrote the master plan, there was a lot of data about the aging demographics of this town, okay? And there was also a lot of work done by Commissioner Hadley as to the trend toward exceeding the capacity of our surrounding medical facilities, whether you went north to Westminster, west over to Frederick, Howard County, or south in Montgomery County. So when this developer came in with something that was a medical facility, and particular for dementia and Alzheimer care, we frankly all recognize the importance of trying to keep it moving and not push it to another month, and so forth. Now, is it extraordinary? Yes. Is it legal? Absolutely. But again, I have to commend the Director of Planning and the commissioners that allowed us to speak for them as we then interacted with the developer. So,
Cool. Thank you, sir, and thank you for the innovative approach to solving this.
Sure. Any further questions?
Quick comment. Commissioner, again, thank you again. It was super creative way to keep the project moving. It had sort of stopped, stalled a couple times throughout the whole process, unnecessarily, you could say, a lot of times, not by the commission's doing. So, again, really creative way to keep it going, and that was actually my first meeting as liaison, and yeah. And I think the reason for it is because the commission was well within their right to disapprove it and stop it right there and start that phase all over again, and Commissioner Gent found a way around that, so thank you.
Yep, great job. Thank you very much for being a part of the meeting. Yep. Mayor?
Yeah, just a quick thank you, because that is above and beyond. And I'm not even going to mention that Army shirt that you're wearing. Oh, wait, I just did, yeah, so.
Army Navy, December 13th.
All right, we'll be there.
Can the town pay for some tickets? All right, next up on the agenda is our public comment portion of the meeting. Does anyone here wish to speak? Please raise your hand. All right, sir, come on up. If you would, please just state your name, address, and we have a 2-minute time limit.
Good evening. Mike Adrianson, 207 Troon. Several months ago, we received a letter in the mail about PFAS chemicals in the water, and I never received any follow-up on what the city is doing about that. So I wanted to find out if we can get some more information. Is the city going after any of the remediation money that Dow and Monsanto have put up? Is the city planning on a remediation facility? Are they planning on a new well? Are they planning on a point of use for every household in the city? These are all things that are going to cost money. And I just was wondering if you've been researching that. I called the department today, water, and I haven't received a call back yet. I'm new in town. I've had the property for several years, but I'm just new, moved in last weekend. And so you may have already addressed this, and I just don't know. And that's why I thought I would come out today and ask to see if the town is working on things and let us know, because as you probably realize, all the regulatory agencies say that there is zero tolerance for PFAS chemicals in the water. Zero tolerance. You know, other chemicals, you've got 6 parts per billion or 10 parts per billion. With the PFAS chemicals, it's zero tolerance. You've got prostate cancer, you've got breast cancer, you've got 3 or 4 other types of cancer that have been linked to this. So again, I just wanted to find out if any progress has been made, and if so, please send it out to the public. Thank you.
All right, real quick, we normally, and I'm not going to set a precedent, but we normally don't speak during public comment. We just let the public talk, and then we just listen, and then we move on. Regarding PFAS, I will relinquish to the mayor real quick just to give you a brief update, because a lot of things have been done over the previous year and a half. So we'll just give you a brief update while you're here.
Yeah, and then I won't do it during my report. So the PFAS update in my monthly report is we're executing the long-range remediation plan that's set up by our town engineer. In fiscal year '24, Mount Airy received notification of a grant award or a forgivable loan from the MDE that will fund remediation of all 4 of our pumping stations that require remediation. Of note, the MDE is asking the town to extend water service to the Twin Arch Mobile Home Park to confront the community residents' issue of unacceptable levels of PFAS. They're outside of our town, but the MDE asked us to help them out. The staff and consultant have submitted site plan and construction drawings to the county and are awaiting the review on that. The town engineer and town administrator and I were discussing this today. The town staff and attorney are working with bond counsel in regard to funding the initial remediation plans and construction. The town, am I done?
No, I think I am. Thank you.
The town has sent a letter asking for a priority review of permits by the county in regard to all PFAS remediation, and the town received in May of 2025 $151,000 from that class action lawsuit, and in August we received $347,000 in that class action, in the same class action lawsuit. We did put out a letter the first 2 years after we found out about this, and I believe that, okay, the Water and Sewer Commission is working on another letter that we'll mail out in December to update all the residents. So
Thank
thank you for coming and speaking.
I appreciate that. I've 21 years as the president of our mutual water company before I moved here to Maryland, and that's why it's a particular interest to me. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Evan?
He's very tall. I'm Wayne Evans, 16473 Old Frederick Road, Mount Airy. And tonight I'm here to represent the Historical Society of Mount Airy. Beginning this month, the Society will be accepting nominations for induction into the Mount Airy Hall of Fame for the class of 2026. We'll be, am I old or what? Showing my age here, aren't I? We will be accepting these nominations until November, actually through November. Let me explain what the Hall of Fame is. You're probably familiar with things that the town does, like the Volunteer of the Year Award. Basically, that is for residents who have shown in the last year or so a lot of involvement in different town planning and different events. The Hall of Fame is significantly different from that. Those that are inducted into the Hall of Fame have shown dedication to our town for an extended period of time. They can be alive or deceased. In the past, we've inducted a very eclectic group. They've shown their volunteerism in numerous ways. Many have served the town as elected officials. A large number of people were business owners here in town that served the citizenry for decades in some cases. Some have served as firefighters or auxiliary for the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company, and others have been leaders of our military support associations like the American Legion, VFW, and the Marine Corps League. Many have spent years as educators or doctors or healthcare workers in our town. Among our Hall of Fame, we have many who have served our youth through Girls and Boys Scouting. We'll be accepting these nominations over the next month, as I had said. To give you an idea of how they're chosen, every year we choose 5 people. And obviously we go through a number of different resumes that have been sent in to us. We choose 5. That committee, I could not tell you who they are. I do know that some have been inducted in the Hall of Fame, others have not. It's not the same committee every year. So we get a fresh look as we see these folks nominated. We also, when you're nominated, if you're nominated for 2026, we will keep those names on record for the next couple of years. So you don't, we keep looking at you. If you don't make it this time, you may next time. So as I said, we'll be accepting these through the month. So spread the word about the nominations. It's a very, very easy application to fill out. And there are a number of them out on the document table out in the lobby. So all of that happens in November, then into the winter. And the induction ceremony is held at the American Legion Gold Star Post, March 17th next year, St. Patty's Day. Questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
It's 2000.
2025. Anyone else wish to speak during public comment? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to our approval of council meeting minutes and closed minutes. First up, we have our August 2025 Town Council meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, Council President, a couple comments.
Sure.
If you go to the third page, I think it's the last item, details about the motion for a resolution of reprimand and such. Let me just say, I agree with the messaging of what's trying to be communicated here, but I want to make sure that if we approve the meeting minutes as it's written here, the council voting to approve these, this doesn't set a precedent in terms of policy, or somebody can come back and say, well, you all voted that you would do these things and these wordings. I think some of the wordings are not technically accurate. These are the types of things that were discussed that night, but there's some technical things in here that I don't think are accurate. So I wanted to give you my suggestion, and then people can decide what they want to do with it. So the first sentence says, council members should avoid violating Open Meetings Act by having more than 2 council members at a commission meeting. Well, simply having people at a meeting isn't a violation. Even having 3 people, I don't believe, is a violation, as long as you're not speaking. So one quick fix here, you could say council members should avoid their perception of violating. I'm going to suggest that because that's consistent with the exact wording that was in the mayor's rule of thumb email that he sent out to us. So avoid the perception. And then if you go further down in the middle of the paragraph, it says, it starts at the end of the 4th line. It says, Mayor Hushhour sent an email in May about 2 incidents of unacceptable behavior. I do recall the conversation, but technically, Mayor Hushhour didn't send out an email specifically about 2 incidents of unacceptable behavior. He sent out an email providing rules of thumb for council members and liaisons and appropriate behavior. It wasn't specifically the way it's written here. See what I'm trying to say here? So one fix could be sent an email in May regarding rules of thumb for council members and council liaisons, acceptable behavior, something like that. And then the next line, it says, Council President Washabaugh said it would no longer be tolerated if it happens again, da-da-da-da. You could say Council President Washabaugh said unacceptable conduct would not be tolerated. And actions to remove a council member may be pursued, something like that.
Yeah, I actually was going to strike would be removed from the town council because I don't have that power. I said I would do everything in my power
Right, I
to
recall you
remove
saying
from the
that,
seat
and
you
that's-
sit,
yeah.
which means I will go door to door and get the signatures necessary to ensure that that happens.
Okay, but you see what I'm trying to do here is just,
Yeah,
because somebody could read this and say, if someone is accused of bad behavior, first it's alleged, it has to be proven, and then secondly, you don't automatically get removed. There would be a process that would follow. So those are my suggestions. If you can all live with those, I think those help protect everybody in terms of the meeting minutes.
yeah, I'm good with that.
Thank you.
All right, so is that a amendment?
Yes, I'm sorry, those are my amendments to the meeting minutes.
Okay. I'm good with the amendments, that's fine. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll guess I'll. Second, yes.
okay. Any other discussion on it? All right, hearing none. All in favor of approving town council minutes from August 4th, 2025, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. And we'll firm up just on the wording for that. All right, August 2025, closed meeting minutes from subject litigation. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please signify, or all in favor of approving the closed meeting minutes under litigation, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Then we have another closed meeting minutes from subject land acquisition. I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the closed meeting minutes under subject land acquisition, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and last, we have a closed meeting minutes under subject council. All in favor, please, or I'm sorry, I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
second,
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the August 2025 closed meeting minutes under subject council, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Opposed? And then we have August 13th, 2025, our special town council meeting for our new town administrator. We all have the minutes. I will make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second,
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the special town council meeting minutes from August 13, 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Abstain.
that's fine.
Abstain.
All right, next up, we have First Lieutenant Aaron Lavelle with our Civil Air Patrol report. Good evening, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you guys? You guys know how to pack them in here in a small room. So I did send the report a little bit late, so I'm sure most of you don't have a copy of it. You guys want a copy of it? All right. Just let you guys go ahead and pass.
Great, thanks.
So it's been an exciting month. You guys have given our cadets a wonderful experience that I'll address in here, but I will make sure we send some pictures too for you guys. So the following are some significant events and accomplishments of the Mount Airy Composite Squadron for August of 2025. One member of the squadron still continues to support the final month of the Wings Bay Patrol. The primary focus for most cadets and senior members was attending as well as staffing the 9-day Tri-Wing encampment, which occurred, I think it was the second or third week of August. But the most notable accomplishment that I'd like to make sure to point out is something that has never happened in the Civil Air Patrol in Maryland, and that is that, as it says here, 6 Mount Airy cadets were selected to lead or represent cadet interests at the Cadet Advisory Council. That was at the group level, which is basically equivalent to the western region of Maryland, the wing level, which is the state level, as well as the region area, which is 7 states or 7 wings. They filled approximately 40%. That means from our one squadron, our 35 cadets, 6 of them filled 40% of the representative positions. They were selected to that. They're go-getters. One Mount Airy cadet was selected to be the chair, the top of the top, for the Mid-Atlantic region CAC. 2 were appointed as the chair and the recorder to serve at the state level. And 2 more were appointed to be the chair and the vice chair at the group level. And you know, it just highlights the hard work that these cadets put in, both in the meeting, but also too outside of it. And it's not just them, it's the staff that work with them as well. So kudos to the Mount Airy area. For community support, we assisted with the Mount Airy Mile on August 9th. We had 2 senior members and 6 cadets that I think they helped close down for the roads and did just general trash pickup afterwards. And then we provided some representatives for the Glenelg High School Club Nights. We also had some really awesome achievements in terms of milestones for ranking up. We have 1 cadet that went to the officer ranks, passed the Mitchell, became a 2nd lieutenant. Another one passed first major milestone, which is Wright Brothers, became a sergeant. But the biggest accomplishment in terms of ranking up is we had 2 cadets, and it happened to be the night that we were here at the town, borrowed your little town hall area here, ranked up to the major, and they did it in the minimum time span, which is 6 months. They did not waste 1 single extra hour. And then we had 2 additional cadets complete the Phase 1 achievements. As I stated before, the Tri-Wing encampment provided a myriad of training opportunities for both our seniors and our cadets. 1 cadet served as the logistics officer in charge of the encampment and earned the Best OIC of the Encampment Award for her efforts. And she gained a ton of real-world leadership experience. And as she told me, she had no idea so many things could go wrong. And I said, welcome to the world. 1 senior member served as a flight training officer, and that was final requirement for her to become, get her cadet program specialty track rating. Additionally, the Civil Air Patrol decided that they wanted to make us go from once every 4 years for our cadet protection training to once every year. So we all played a game of renew that. And, but that being said, there was some very valuable training that needed to be refreshed and renewed, and we're happy to say that it was worth it. So 4 cadets did a powered orientation flight. We are continuing to grow exponentially. We had another person transfer from the Carroll Composite Squadron, another one from the Parkland Squadron, and 4 cadets just joined from the local area. I think that brings our total up to 45, and we're not just talking about 45 members that are on the book, we're talking about 45 active members. Our operational status, we are fully ground team capable, as well as able to support ground team missions, SUAS, or AKA drone missions, and radio operation needs. And we wanted to make sure that the town knew that they are always able, if there's a need for specifically a drone reason, we are able to quickly respond to that, and make sure you guys know that I believe we have 4 people qualified for that, as well as the drones on hand. So, regarding our operational issues, as all of you know, because I reported it last month, we're continuing to look for a new location to meet and store our squadron equipment. As I previously told you guys, the Mount Airy IWLA is no longer a suitable meeting place, and as a result, we have not met in a consistent location for 2 weeks in a row since the end of July. Nearly all of our squadron equipment has been moved now to a temporary storage place at the Maryland wing, but unfortunately that does mean that it's more than a half an hour away, so we're trying to put some of the stuff in the van and make do in the time being. However, that has provided quite the bright spot. As I mentioned, during August, Mayor and Councilmember Munder allowed us to use the town hall for a meeting, and they have made sure that we are not without a home, which has been greatly appreciated. We were able to hold at least 3 of the past 4 meetings, and it was voted the coolest location to ever have a meeting, and there is a picture with them all trying to sit in all of your spots. We are still waiting to hear back from the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company. There does seem to be a little hesitation there. I think that they have a lot of things that they need to figure out if that's possible. And then the Mount Airy Senior Center as well. We haven't heard anything back from them yet either. Both of those locations would be perfect if they do work out, but we're still going to take any suggestions, any help we can possibly get from the community, from the council, in any way, because that weekly look for the meetings it's becoming a bit of a drain, I think, on the members. We do plan to, coming up here, we do have the aerospace portion and the character portions of the Commander's Cup competitions that'll be held in late September. And then we also have additional competitions that'll be in October, and I believe we're hosting the character competition. We'll be at South Carroll High School, and I believe that we're holding the leadership one at South Carroll too. So we're going to keep them in this area rather than elsewhere in the state. And then finally, the squadron's color guard is going to participate this Thursday in the 9/11 ceremony. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you guys have them.
Questions?
Public Works. All right.
You talking about using the Public Works building?
Yes, sir. I was wondering about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a thought. My only other thought was, granted, Isaac Walton, has their building up top. The Boy Scouts have the building that's down below. That's leased by the Scouts. And I wonder if the Scouts would open up the cabin down the hill to you.
So from what we understand, the Boy Scouts can do it sometimes, but they also have some meetings that overlap with us, so that's a bit of an issue. But also, too, we have had a chance to be down there, but it's a little bit on the smaller side, and it does lack some restroom facilities that are, it lacks the restroom facilities that would be needed in the wintertime. So.
I rebuilt that latrine that's on that.
It lacks.
And the
is what he's saying.
toilets came from Watkins Park when we went to a full bathroom. So I distinctly remember doing that.
I'm not trying to be picky.
Why don't we touch base offline with Brian?
Lieutenant, is this yours as well?
It is.
Somebody might have left it here on that Wednesday.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
We do need a space that is definitely bigger than this area, probably about twice the space of this area. And we need a small, closet, I guess would be the best way to put it, to be able to put things like color guard equipment, emergency services equipment, and the like. It's not a ton of space that's needed, but they do also do PT and such outside, So we're flexible. We've gotten real creative. So I certainly can give you one. So. All right, thank you so much, and I will touch base. I'm assuming the gentleman in the back is the one to talk to.
That's Brian Johnson. Talk to him and.
All right. So I do really appreciate the help that we have gotten and the guidance. So thank you so very much.
Thanks so much. All right, next up, we have our Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company report with Hall of Famer Matt Hurd. Nominated in 1960.
Right, 1960. Good evening, everyone. Mayor, Town Council. Last month of August, we had 221 calls. Carroll, we had 146. Frederick, 66. Howard, 6. Montgomery, 3. In our local first due box areas, Box 113, 38 EMS. Box 114, 13 EMS. Box 11, 23 EMS and 4 fire. Box 115, 18 EMS, 4 fire. The Express Care had 6 EMS calls. Box 13, 13 EMS, 3 fire. Box 14, 7 EMS, 2 fire, as well as 15, 7 EMS and 2 fire. And another busy month, but this week we have a couple good fundraisers coming up to support the fire company and the Rotary. First off, tomorrow night at Memories. Memories is donating 10% of the sales, and events kick off at 6 o'clock. Out there we'll have the fire trucks, different pull tabs, different little fundraising activities starting at 6 o'clock. But the whole day, Memories is donating 10% to go to the fire company. Thursday, the most important thing is the remembrance of 9/11. It's at Pine Grove Cemetery. It's the 24th year. It starts at 6:30. I advise to get there between 6 to 6:15. It's always a great program. Mount Airy should be proud that they are still going strong year after year. A lot of towns have stopped, but Mount Airy has continued on, so thanks to Town of Mount Airy for that. Like, we lost 2 guys in 9/11 from Mount Airy, so it means special to the Town of Mount Airy. Also, the big duck race from the Rotary and the Mount Airy Volunteer Fire Company is Sunday, the 14th. So please, events start at 12 o'clock. The big race starts at 2 o'clock. It's another great event for the town and the community. Stop by and see everybody up here and root on your rubber duck to win. But it's a great event. But anyways, thanks for having us again. And any questions?
Questions?
Now, I just got one comment. Unfortunately, I'll be unable to attend the 9/11 because I got double booked at the MML Carroll County chapters having the dinner that night, and I got the short straw to attend.
Did you get sprayed last year? Who got sprayed, or was it 2 years ago?
Sprayed?
Yeah, actually, I was asking old Mayor Johnson. I got sprayed one year by accident. I always got away from him, and
oh no,
yeah. But anyways, all right. I'll see you there.
Oh, just one other thing. Sorry, Councilman. Just my thoughts and prayers go out to the Gamber EMTs that were injured in the accident over the weekend. So that's just a reminder to everybody that these people are in danger when they go out and respond to us and our needs.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Next up, we have our Mount Airy Police Department report with Chief Ginevra.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. For calls for service, we had 541 calls for service. That was 11.08% from August of 2024. For our community outreach, August 2025, MAPD participated in our local school supply drive event, which those supplies were donated to the Mount Airy Net. August 9th, we participated in the Mount Airy Mile. August 23rd was Celebrate Mount Airy. And August 29th, we had the Lieutenant Governor Miller. She came and supported an unfortunate incident that took place at the Watersville Apartments. And there were many town council members there and a lot of other mayors from other jurisdictions. So that seems to be moving forward. So there was a great turnout for, unfortunately, a sad event that took place. For our recruitment, we did have one applicant that interviewed for a lateral police officer position. We have 2 applications that were just submitted for lateral position, and as of the closing of today, we actually got another officer that applied for a lateral position, also. For our crime watch, just to let you folks know, it's not monitored 24/7. When we do have an opportunity to monitor it, I myself is in the crime watch, and I'll get it back to you as soon as possible. And if not only that, disseminate the proper information to the sergeant, and he'll make sure the officers get back. So again, a little patience with that. We do monitor it, but it's not, again, monitored 24/7. If there are any traffic complaints that do take place, we are actively addressing any of them. And again, if it's come through the crime watch, it may take a couple days. It's easier if you just call the station and leave a message, or if not, I can give my email. It's mginevra@mountairymd.gov, and you're more than welcome, and I will immediately get back to you, because if not, the emails come through, and I don't want anyone to get forgotten, because I know I don't want to be forgotten either. So our upcoming town events, September 10th, we're hosting, because I moved it rather than August, when it usually is hosted. Can't compete with those larger agencies, and I like to be a little different, and this town is a little different and special to me. We're hosting our National Night Out at Watkins Park from 4 to 9 p.m. So hopefully we get a lot of the town residents come, get your free hot dog, some water, some chips, and Snowy's supplying some free snow cones. There will be other vendors on site that are normally there with the farmers market, but during that's off-site. It is part of our event, but you will be expected to pay whatever they have there for their menu. We're going to have a bunch of vendors out there. I don't want to go too much into detail. I'd rather have you folks come out and be a part of that event, sharing that. As Mr. Hurd just explained too, September 11th at the 9/11 ceremony at Pine Grove Cemetery. It's a unfortunate event, but it's an event of obviously of some remembrance. So it'd be great if you can attend that. September 27th, we have the Oktoberfest from 12 to 6. Again, there'll be road closures out there, so just be a little mindful with the police officers and Public Works or anyone that are out there with that. Please follow those directions. It's for safety. October 18th, I know I'm going a little advanced here in October. We have the annual Wagon Tails at Watkins Park. It's a nice event for those pet lovers. There's a lot of people that have a lot of dogs and animals here in this community. October 19th, really special to me, is that Making Strides Against Breast Cancer. You're able to sign up at 7 a.m. It's at Watkins Park. I know we posted it out there, so I'm going to show you a couple things here. We do have our shirt if you sign up. So it's a nice shirt, obviously pink representing for breast cancer, and on the back side. So any denomination, whether you're part of the walk or not, you still receive a shirt. If you make a $50 donation, you get one of these patches here. It's an original. It is what we'll be wearing for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So it's very limited for the first 5 people that donate $50 to that. You can come to the station and pick it up from me. And if you're not available at that time, you can come out to the park and I'll put your name and hold it aside. This shirt here is, obviously it's black in color. It's not pink, but it's pink outlined again for our breast cancer. If you donate $100 to the site for breast cancer awareness, not only do you get the shirt, but you get the patch. All 100% of those donations goes to breast cancer. These are funded through the Community Foundation for Carroll County, the police department, nor the town. We don't get any of that funding. It immediately goes to breast cancer research. So again, hopefully you can come out and be a part of that and join the Mount Airy team. If not, there are plenty of other teams out there that you can be a part of. October 25th, we have the Fall Fest over at the Mount Airy Carnival Grounds. That's hosted by Dan Hazarati and his team from the Delta Group. Another great event. There's a lot of kids that attend that. I know Councilman DeMotor, you've always, or I shouldn't say always, within the last month, you requested for August arrest locations. So I'm just going to go through these. October 4th was Route 27 in Ridge. That was a traffic arrest. October 5th, Route 27 in Twin Arch, another traffic arrest. October 10th, Route 27 in South Main Street, a traffic arrest. August 15th. Yeah, I'm getting way ahead. I'm jumping back. I'm really focused on October. I apologize. These are all August, so October 15th, 500 block of Ridgeville, that was a traffic arrest. Again with that October. August 16th, 1700 block of Ridgeside Drive, that was a counterfeiting. There was 2 arrests that were made there at the Chick-fil-A. August 17th, 200 block of Watersville, that was a destruction of property. August 18th, 400 block of Ridgeville, that was a narcotics possession with intent to distribute. August 20th, 1500 block South Main was a traffic arrest. August 21st, 400 block of Ridgeville was an assault, second degree. August 21st, Route 27 in South Main, that was a DWI. August 23rd, Ridge Ave at Marydale, that was a traffic arrest. August 23rd, 500 block of Saddleback, that was an assault. August 24th, Sunset in Maine, that was a traffic arrest. August 28th, 400 block of East Ridgeville, that was an assault, second. And August 30th, the 200 block of East Ridgeville, that was a theft from Walmart, and there were 2 suspects that were arrested during that time. Just again to go on that any and all of the information, when those things are posted, will be on the Crime Watch. But nobody is free from that. If this is going to be a continuous thing where town council are asking for this information, it is public information. You can find it out on Crime Watch. There are no holds barred. The information will be put out there for that reasoning at that request, unless things are changed by the mayor and town president and voted on that way also. I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware of that information to share. I want to be quite transparent with that information. I'm not withholding anything from the town or anyone on this council board if an arrest is made. That's just part of our job, but if you are requesting that, it will be accurate.
No, understood. I actually was just talking to the mayor offline here. I don't believe, moving forward, we need that information read out during our council meeting. It is public information, and if any of us or anybody out there want to see that public information, you can do so on your own time. I personally don't need to hear it. I don't think it needs to be broadcasted across our town council meeting. So I'm not going to a vote moving forward. We don't need that information included into your report. Plus, we also don't need you pulling information that we can do on our own. I'm sure you have a lot of other things that you can be doing with your time. So that was the one comment that I had. Is your report complete?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
I
Is there
apologize
any
for
questions
all
or
of the
concerns?
October.
Yeah, we can get through October now.
Like October. I like fall, so I apologize for the October. I did mean August all the way through.
We're ready to get to Halloween.
And we'll see you on Wednesday, right, with the hot dogs, right?
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there. I will definitely be there.
If I can just express my appreciation for getting through the month of August following that July 31st tragedy, and the insight and professionalism and advice that you guys gave to me, you and the lieutenant out there and your police officers. I just greatly appreciate the help. And I think that black T-shirt is about the coolest T-shirt I've ever seen for the breast cancer walk. So I hope people join your team, because that's a good one.
Hopefully so. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right, moving on, we've got our mayor, council, and staff reports. First up's our mayor's report with Mayor Hushhour.
All right, congratulations to the Rotary Club of Mount Airy for the successful Mount Airy Mile that was completed on August 9th at 9 o'clock in the morning. They raised $10,000. JD called me today and she called me Sean instead of you. And she said they raised $10,000. That money goes toward anybody who has a bill that they can't pay because they have a medical expense, like a water bill, an electric bill, something like that. And that's what this money goes toward through the Rotary Club. So congratulations on a very successful event. And Henry Boussard, who might be sitting right back there. He's still in the 1900s, I believe. Anyway, he's the one who presented Mount Airy Millie, the duck that forecast that we were going to have an early fall this year. And I think he was correct, because it's been kind of cool out here. Okay, I'll go ahead and jump forward and try to make this quicker. In terms of our town stormwater pipes, we've been doing an inspection on all of them. We're almost 700 pipes into our 2,000 that we have, and we found 28 pipes that need to be remediated in some manner. And some manner might mean a signage, also might mean a grate that goes over it, or we found several storm drains that surprisingly are not even bolted down. So we're looking at all those. Again, out of the 700, we found 28 that we're going to take some action on. Rails to trails, construction has begun on the new pedestrian bridge or culvert pipe that is over the stream on Rails to Trails west of Main Street near Watkins Park. Following the bridge construction, the trail will be scheduled to get asphalt that will go from Watkins Park all the way out to the boardwalk. So that's our progress on that. I'll emphasize the 9/11 ceremony as well. We'll never forget 9/11, and we'll always remember Lieutenant Commander Ronald Valk and Chief Warrant Officer Bill Ruth, our two Mount Airy residents that lost their lives on that day. And that completes my report.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the Board of Recreation and Parks and the Sustainability Commission with myself. Parks and Rec actually had a special meeting here in Town Hall. Normally they meet via Zoom. The reason being it was for the disbursement or placement of softball fields and baseball fields between the Mount Airy Youth Athletic Association and the Fork County Baseball Program. Usually those meetings can get pretty contentious, at least they have in the past, which is why they wanted the Mike Ginevra, I'm sorry, not Mike Ginevra. Mike Regal.
Sorry. In October.
Mike Regal in October, yeah. Wanted to have it in person and ensure that it goes smoothly, and luckily it did. Everybody maybe didn't get exactly what they wanted, but I believe both programs got exactly what they needed, and they will be able to support their children that have signed up for them accordingly this fall, and then we will look to do it again in a couple months for the springtime. The next Parks and Rec meeting will be Thursday, September 18th. That will be via Zoom at 7 p.m. And Sustainability Commission will not meet again till October 15th, actually in October 15th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall, and I'll have a report following that meeting for them. So moving on, we'll have our Planning Commission report with Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. Let's see, we did not receive a Carroll County update as that liaison that position is still unfilled. Frederick County gave an update. County's working on three main plans right now. There's the housing element. Second is the investing in workers and workplaces economic development plan, and also the green infrastructure plan, which is now, there are planning commission workshops ongoing. The CDI or Data Center Overlay Bill was submitted to the state for a 60-day review. That bill is expected back to the council, the county council, for the October meeting. There's been a large amount of public comment and input via email. The agenda on August 25th, I skipped the date, we met on August 25th. The agenda included discussion of Annexation Resolution 2025-47, which is the Warfield property on West Watersville. 10 residents, it was a mix of Carroll County and town residents, voiced concern over the annexation and its planned use. Let's see, after much discussion and deliberation, the commission requested further information and analysis and studies from the petitioner. We welcome our new town administrator, Jared Schumacher, who's in attendance. We also received an update that the conditions for the approval of Southside Plaza were met and moving forward, as we heard tonight. Lastly, the commission also discussed the updates to the Green Tree Village plan that were provided by the developer. Unfortunately, the developer did not restore the dedicated parking spaces that were approved in the pattern book, so this is once again being sent back for revision, and approval will not be finalized until the issue is corrected. It's basically sort of the same situation that was done with Southside Plaza, where there were some conditions for approval and they have not yet been met, so that's still ongoing. The Planning Commission will meet next on September 29th. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have our Streets and Roads Commission and the Commission on Aging and Livability and the Flatiron Task Force with Councilmember Munder.
All right, thank you, Council President. No real report for the Streets and Roads since the commission only meets the last Tuesday of every odd month. The next meeting is scheduled for September 30th at 7 p.m., but I do want to mention that if you've noticed on South Main Street, the roundabout construction has started. The approximate finish time is 7 months, weather dependent, since we're doing it over winter. And I ask all the residents in town to please be patient with the construction as it progresses. There probably will be some disruptions, but please be patient with it. We will get it done. So that concludes my report for the streets and roads. The Flatiron Task Force meets on an as-needed basis. There was no new topics for discussion or meeting, but the town is still waiting on responses for various grants that we have applied for. The main commission meeting that I attended was the Commission on Aging and Livability, or COLE. They met on Wednesday, August 27th at 5 p.m. The commission discussed several things, potential for a new bocce ball court location in town, but it was brought to our attention there might be an old location over at the senior center / library area, so I believe we're trying to locate that location. The memorandum of understanding, or MOU, between Frederick County and Mount Airy related to the public transportation of seniors across county lines is moving forward. I believe now it's in the hands of the mayor and the lawyers for the respective towns and county locations to work out the details. There have been some ongoing concerns with the transition of management over at the Carroll County Senior Center. It appears that they are working them out with management of the center, but stay tuned for any concerns related to that. Nice thing to report was a representative, which is also a town resident, came and spoke at the commission. She works for a company called the Family Heritage and Trust up in Frederick. They talked about the services they provided for local families and people in need, and they do have lists of contractors that are more senior friendly and people can trust. They are based in Frederick, so please give them a call. The company name again is Family Heritage and Trust. They are branching out from Frederick and Hagerstown into the Mount Airy area, and the lady that came and spoke, Megan Fletcher, is a resident of the area. And she did mention that the ad for their company has been located or will be located in the 4-County Catch magazine that comes out for the next several months. And during this, I also found out that the 4-County Catch is available online under the web address for the number 4 County Catch, all one word, .com. And they do have a link to the latest issue of the County Catch on there. So if you don't receive the County Catch, which is a summary, which is basically right now the town newspaper, please go online and read it. And there were several flyers that were presented. One is a fundraiser for the senior center at Lido Pizza on Tuesday, September 23rd from 4 to 9. And if you order it online, the online code is fundraiser. There is an expo of Aging Your Way this Wednesday, September 10th, from 9 to 2 up at the Carroll County Ag Center. There is free shuttle service from the senior center, but you need to call the Carroll Area Transit Authority, or CATS, to arrange a ride from the senior center. And it's like a one-stop shop. You get picked up at the senior center, taken up there, and brought back to the senior center once it's over at 2. Another one was mentioned by the library representative is CarFit. Please check on Carroll County's library's website to sign up for it. It is only done by appointments. It's only for seniors. And it will be Monday, October 6th from 2 to 5. At the Carroll County Library. There's also a survey being done by Carroll County government for an age-friendly Carroll County. Please, I would say the Bureau of Aging and Disabilities probably has the link to the survey on it. It is both in English and Spanish. So for both of the languages that should be the survey. Please have that done by September 15th. And let me see, that should take care of the flyers. And during the meeting, it was mentioned that there are two numbers for people to call that might help all the people here in Mount Airy. If you have an emergency, like a medical emergency, a heart attack, or a police emergency, dial 911 for pretty much any emergency. But if you're having a mental health crisis or something like that, while 911 is a good number to call, there also, I believe, the number 988 to call for mental health, and you will be connected to somebody that can potentially refer you to services and everything, even though the police do recommend that. That is sometimes a better number to call if needed. The next meeting is September 24th, 2025. That should conclude my reports, Council President.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the EDC and Recycling and Sanitation Commission with Council Secretary Evans.
Thank you, Council President. Recycling and Sanitation did not meet last month. We meet the third Wednesday of every odd month. Medium bins have been handed out. Thank you, Public Works and Brian, for getting that done. We have about 100 more. If you prefer a medium bin, please contact Town Hall. October 11th has been confirmed at American Legion between 9 and 1. The town e-waste recycling event. Bring all your old electronics, excuse me, or other things that you don't need and you want to responsibly recycle, and we will take them and get them recycled for you. Next meeting will be on September 17th, next Wednesday, here at Town Hall. For the EDC, tomorrow, September 9th, is the business roundtable between 5 and 7 here at Town Hall. Come out and discuss business with the EDC and other businesses. Ashley and Graceful, thank you very much for putting this together. Steve, I know you had a big part in making it come to fruition, so thank you for that as well. We have not moved to our monthly meetings yet. We're still bi-monthly, but we're trying to get that accomplished. And our next meeting is September 24th at 7 right here at Town Hall. And that concludes my reports.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the Water and Sewer Commission, Beautification Commission, and the Inclement Weather Task Force with Councilmember Demoter.
All right, thank you. I'll start with beautification. The Beautification Commission last met on August 19th. A lot of weeding has been done around town, to include around the train station. New plantings were added around the train station, and other weeding and such has been done around Rails to Trails and is planned for East-West Park. There are 2 memorial benches that are going to be added around town. One will go in the skate park, and another one will go in the area of the caboose. The next meeting is scheduled for September 16th. Water and Sewer Commission met on September 3rd. Topics discussed included a recap of the proposed water and sewer rate increases, which I believe are going to be introduced on the agenda tonight. They also discussed the continuing need, request to see a longer-term capital improvement and operating plan for water and sewer. Picking up on the public comment earlier and the comments made by the mayor, the commission discussed preliminary thoughts about what could be included into another letter that would go out to all town citizens regarding the status of PFAS and progress made and future direction. Commission discussed a variety of topics for consideration and inclusion, to include the status and levels of PFAS, water sampling and results over the past 2 years, suggestions on the need to obtain PFAS measurements at the tap of residents, in particular those nearest to the water stations and wells having the greatest contamination levels. For example, well number 7 at Water Station 3 in the Twin Ridge community, as these residences are more likely to be getting fed water directly from the well or water station rather than having the water be more blended for other types of residences, with the thought being the closer you are to that contaminated well, if it's not being blended and you're drawing water from peak hours of operation, you may be getting water more directly from that contaminated well. Also discussed, we discussed the need for a plan and a strategy for residential water sampling. Discussed the idea of continuing to add a flyer like we did in the letter a year ago, and what citizens can do if they want to self-remediate and to reduce exposure. We also discussed the possible need for a dedicated staff member to be in charge of water operations and monitoring. The commission thought perhaps the town needed someone just to focus on the water issue. The commission also explicitly stated that they felt the PFAS remediation should be a priority for the town. Also discussed, if you recall, a year ago, I think it was brought up in the letter too, that there was a plan to actively manage those wells having the highest contamination levels, turning flows on and off to try and reduce the flows from the higher concentrated wells. And so the commission looked at some cursory data, but it was not clear there was a data-driven strategy or record of active water town management. So I think the commission's just trying to understand, is the town still toggling on and off water flows from specific wells that have higher contamination? Are they still doing that? And if not, when did that process stop? Those are some of the questions that came up. And then lastly, a commission member did some follow-on analysis using some data and information obtained from an information request concerning the water allocation approval versus actual amounts for the Shiny Shell car wash, noting that the allocated amount versus the water actually used is over twice the amount that was approved. Because I think in the site development plan, the approved amount was 7,350 gallons per day, or around 661,000 gallons per quarter, and the actual data is 1.2 million or more gallons per quarter. So we're trying to understand, and not just for this particular business, but for all properties in the town, what was the allocation given? What's the actual water usage going on? How far apart are the allocations versus the actual usages? And if there's a big discrepancy either way, what should a process be for the town in terms of seeking a remedy to address those high swings? And that may end up being some specific code language that we potentially put into an ordinance. So those were the highlights from the Water and Sewer Commission. I now want to turn to the Inclement Weather Task Force. So council members, you have, I handed out to you a two-pager kind of overview on this task force. And to the citizens here, there are hard copies in the back of the room if you'd like to see this as well. So let me go into this. So the Inclement Weather Task Force was established by Mayor Hushhour, and so far we've held 2 meetings. The first meeting was held on August 20th, 2025. The purpose or the mission statement of the task force is to provide recommendations to the mayor and the town council on better ways to anticipate, prepare, educate, alert, respond, and clean up following significant weather events in Mount Airy. And we have a lot of very energetic and passionate volunteers so far on the task force. We are looking for a few more members. So we have a good group of people, but we could use a few more members. So if anybody out there is interested, please, you can contact me as the liaison or the mayor, but we could use your participation. Some of the immediate priorities: we want to focus on ways to alert residents of impending significant weather events, specifically flooding and tornadoes, but there's other kinds of severe weather events as well. We want to be action-oriented with a sense of urgency. 2 main areas we're looking at is to research, select, and deliver public awareness materials to educate our residents and businesses in the community about how to prepare for a significant weather event and how to respond to and how to protect. We're also researching and we will be providing a recommendation on the feasibility and the need for an air siren alert system and its operation. We want to improve notification systems and emergency understanding and preparedness, and picking up on what the mayor highlighted, but he wanted this specifically noted in our task force, to prepare and install signage identifying areas prone to flooding hazards, which is ongoing, and to identify stormwater management and related areas needing remediation or installation of drain grates and other improvements, and that's ongoing. So, again, we've held 2 meetings. The task force members have done a ton of research on this, and some of it's summarized in this 2-pager. Some of the accomplishments and next steps. We want to continue researching the information and preparing a set of recommendations. At the appropriate time, we want to brief the town council. There is a presentation coming up by Mr. Kurt Luthies, I hope I'm saying that correctly, from the American Red Cross on emergency preparedness. That presentation is going to be held on October 8th at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall, and it will also be on Facebook Live. All citizens and businesses are invited to attend, and further details will be provided. And if you look at the attachment to this 2-pager, there's some preliminary information about siren systems in terms of their capabilities. And there's been research done, and there's 2 particular brands and models that have been suggested to date. And I won't read all this, but it's all there for your reference. Cost-wise, and these are cost quotes, current as of late August, we're looking at costs potentially around $70,000 to $85,000, and that would cover the cost for 2 sirens, poles for mounting the sirens, and it's been suggested that Potomac Edison could provide 2 reconditioned 55-foot utility poles, and then the software and the installation. So that's the kind of the cost we're looking at for these kinds of systems. We'll give you a lot more details, but I wanted to make you all aware of the task force. We are looking for new members. The members we have, and I want to take time to list them because they've done a lot of work. So we have Graceful Action as our town liaison. Caroline Kuharsk is a member. Colleen Riley will be town staff support. Lucy Regal is a member. Jack Rudin is our chairperson, and Karen Spicer. So, and then I want to also acknowledge Mr. Josh Marks, who pulled together a lot of the background information. So that's an overview of the task force, and I wanted to share the details of that. Mr. Mayor, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I just want to thank you. Both those meetings have been Zoom meetings, and the participation, the input's been great. Thank you, Steve, for drafting this, and more importantly, thank you for sharing it with the entire task force. And it became a task force product. And the October 8th meeting, I think that'll give us an indication of the interest of the town. And hopefully we'll be able to pull out a couple more members before then or at that meeting, because it's an important thing for us to go down this road and figure out how we can do our job a little bit better when it comes to inclement weather. Thanks.
All right. And that concludes my report, so thank you for your patience.
Next up, we have our town attorney report, Mr. Tom McCarron.
Over the last month, helped draft the water and sewer rate ordinance, along with the great help of Dick Swanson and others. And I also attended the Planning Commission meeting, mainly because the proposed annexation of the Warfield property began to be discussed, or at least the means by which the Planning Commission would evaluate ultimately its task of providing a recommendation to this body about the annexation. The remainder of what I'd report, I think we're covering in closed session, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have copies of our town administrator report, code enforcement report, and the zoning administrator report. Does anyone have anything to add to those? Nothing? All right. Move on to the new business. First up is a recommendation of award for the roof replacement on the wastewater treatment plant buildings number 7 and 2. This was given to us by Brian Johnson. Does anyone have any questions regarding this at all?
Just a couple of questions.
Well, real quick, though, let's just, before we get into discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Just a couple of questions. So I was looking for the scope of the work, how large, and it's 2 buildings. Is there any indication of how much square footage of the roofs are, anything that's not in these details?
Yeah, I mean, it's the original housing and one other building.
You're going to hate me, Brian, but you got to come to the podium. So, thanks.
Hello, I'm Brian Johnson, Director of Public Works. Yes, all the roofs down at the wastewater treatment plant need replaced, period. They were contracted and they lasted 3 to 5 years, and now that time frame is up. So now it's time to get it replaced for a 20-year long-term fix. So I would say square footage, probably 3 times the size of this building. But within that means they have to come in, remove all of the old, dry it, and then put new down. And then we get a guarantee. So.
Okay, so my next question was on the clarifications and exclusions. So there's permits, of course, other work that might be uncovered, I guess, right? Once they do that.
Absolutely not. Contractor will swallow everything. There is no ad hoc or change work order, period.
So, okay, so this last section says exclusions and clarification. Plumbing, mechanical, electrical, masonry, interior. So what we're saying is, my question was going to be, well, anything's possible. What is the probability that there are other issues?
None.
Okay.
None. All the contractors were there and looked at everything they were going to replace, and then that it is what it is. They're going to eat, that price says they're going to make it right no matter what. Whatever they uncover, it doesn't matter. They're going to make it right.
Okay. I need that contractor's number. If we're confident in that, okay.
Any other questions?
Quick question. I see that in your memo, it says this is a budgeted purchase from water sewer capital budget under a line item. Is there a longer-term water and sewer capital improvement plan, and was this roofing replacement in that capital improvement plan?
Now, I believe I put in 1.2 million to replace everything down there, and this is just part of chunking away at it. So next year, I'm going to ask for more. The roofs are not disappearing. It is what it is.
Okay.
Same with the Public Works at 215 Prospect. They're failing. There's no easy fix. It's going to take an immense amount of money to fix those roofs. So I ask away or I keep Band-Aiding. So I've been Band-Aiding for years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the roof replacement contract for the wastewater treatment plants buildings 7 and 2 in the amount up to $71,991 from Ron Ruff Roofing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right, next up, we have approval to purchase a 2026 Chevrolet Silverado with upfit for the roads department. This is also with Mr. Brian Johnson. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion for approval for the purchase of the pickup truck for Public Works Chevrolet, 2026 Chevrolet 2500, and as upfitted as requested and described.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the approval for a 2026 Chevy 2500 HD four-wheel drive regular cab truck with upfit from Criswell Automotive Fleet Sales, the amount of $69,725. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next up, we have commission appointments and reappointments with Mayor Hushhour.
Okay, I make the following recommendations for reappointments. Jimmy Linton, reappointed to the Economic Development Commission.
All right, I'll make a motion to reappoint Jimmy Linton to the EDC. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of reappointing Jimmy Linton to the EDC, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then Kenneth Humble to be reappointed to Recycling and Sanitation Commission.
All right, I'll make a motion to reappoint Kenneth Humble to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of reappointing Kenneth Humble to the Recycling and Sanitation Commission, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you, Mayor. All right, next, we have ordinances and resolutions. Next up is going to be ordinance 2025-19. This is for a water and sewer rate increase. This is for introduction. I will open the floor for a motion.
I'll make the motion for introduction of ordinance 2025-19 regarding the water and sewer rate increase.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we'll see this next month. All right, under unfinished business, we have a comprehensive master plan discussion. I want to thank Councilmember Demoter for agreeing to table this to this month.
No.
So I will, what's that?
Nothing.
Okay. So I will go ahead and relinquish to Councilmember Demoter for the comprehensive master plan discussion.
All right, thank you, Council President. So again, I made a motion at the last meeting, and I'm going to pass, could you take one of these, pass it down? It's the same motion I made at the last council meeting. Let me ask, do I need to, or should I restate a motion and then second it to get into discussion, or is it essentially already before us on the table?
It's before, I mean, you made the motion, I did second it with the
Okay.
request that you would table it.
Okay, so I'll just get right into to my motion. So what I'm proposing here is, and here's the issue at hand. This council passed the master plan this past February, I believe, okay? And that master plan has a series of rezonings in it. So at the time we passed the master plan, well, before that, at our last joint council planning commission workshop, we were going through the issues, and we specifically asked the question, for the proposed rezonings in the master plan, did we need to discuss those as a council at that time or not? And the guidance we got from the town planner was, no, you don't need to worry about that now. You can take care of that later on. So this council never got to discuss the full suite of proposed rezonings that were in, at that time, the draft master plan. So the council passed the master plan with a set of 20 or more rezonings in it. Then this council, on 2 separate meetings, voted against rezoning all of those properties with the exception of one, which was the Hatley property, further on South Main Street. So we have a cluster of about 17 properties at the very tip of South Main Street, which this council voted down. We said, no, we don't want to rezone those. Then we had about 4 properties down further on South Main, down by Carter Q. And of those 4, the council only approved one of those properties to be rezoned from residential to NP, which is what was proposed in the master plan. So we have a schism here. We have an issue because this council has approved a master plan with a set of rezonings in it. Then we took votes as a legislative body that says, we don't want to rezone those properties like that, with the exception of one property that we did approve. So now we are in a chasm, so to speak, because we have no consistency between the master plan and the votes we have taken on those properties. And I believe that if we don't rectify that through asking the Planning Commission to consider amending the master plan and doing that now, the town is going to be under some perhaps legal issues, because if somebody comes now and says, I want to rezone my property, and the town council says no, again on those properties, one of those property owners can say, well, wait a minute, you passed a master plan, you essentially approved rezoning those properties. So we have this chasm that we have to fix. And we don't want people seeking to enforce the master plan's proposed zoning. So if we're not going to rezone in the manner that the master plan says we are going to, then the master plan has to change. Another point here is your master plan sets the vision for the future of your town in terms of growth and development. And so if a town council rejects the proposed rezonings within a master plan, the plan should be amended to reflect that decision. A master plan serves as the guide for future development, and rejecting rezoning requests indicates a change in the town's vision for those areas. Ignoring these rejections and leaving them in the plan would create inconsistencies and confusion. And a last point, and then I'll go back another bite at the apple. So this isn't a case where the council, we had heavy deliberation on those proposed rezonings, and we made a decision in the master plan, and then we took votes and decided to vote differently. We never got the opportunity to deliberate on those proposed rezonings. These aren't just onesies and twosies. This is the very tip of South Main Street. We're talking about a grouping of 17 to 20 properties comprising 17 or more acres. And the vision that's in the master plan for those properties was all to convert them from residential to community commercial or limited commercial. This council voted against rezoning those in that manner. So clearly, the council thought that the vision for the tip of South Main Street, flipping it all to commercial, was not the vision we thought the town wanted. At least that's the way I looked at it when I did my vote. So that's another example of how we have one vision for all these properties that's different from perhaps the vision of this council, because we voted all those properties down. So I understand this is a 10-year plan and amendments can be made at any time. But if we leave these to set and stew, The longer we leave these properties in there this way, the longer we're going to get vulnerable in terms of one of those property owners coming forward and saying, hey, you said in the master plan, my property's supposed to be rezoned. I want that rezoned the way the master plan says. And if that comes up for a vote again and we say no, which we already have twice for a lot of the properties, you're setting the town up for a conflict of consequence. That's why I believe we need to ask the Planning Commission to consider rezoning the master plan and doing it now. Thank you.
All right, any discussion?
Well, I'll jump on it.
Oh, I'll let you go first.
No, I understand your perspective on this. The Planning Commission is done with the master plan. They have presented the council with what they thought was the best plan. And I agree that it all came to a council vote, and you guys have rejected properties both times that this has come up. Having said that, I mean, my question would be, when you create a master plan, okay, you still have to vote on those rezonings. Is there a possibility that someone down on South Main Street actually wants their property to be community commercial, and they're going to present it to the council? Yes, there is, but, you know, I don't understand why there's a need to go backwards, because you could reject it again. Granted, you're not on solid ground for the entire master plan, but we've had zonings that have been rejected before, so I'm not sure we're going down a road that we have to go down. If the council isn't happy with those rezonings, then you reject them. And whatever occurs after that. I think the master plan that was presented by the Planning Commission was the best that they put forward. And the council voted on the master plan, and I'm not going to, tell you that, I mean, the vote occurred, and now you got a master plan in front of you. So if somebody brings you a plan, one of those properties on South Main, or the Voslo property, or the 3 properties that you rejected at the last meeting, the council votes on it and they reject it. And that's the end of that, unless a property owner really wants to drive the issue. And if they drive the issue, then we deal with that. I don't see going back and rewriting the master plan, especially if you're going to throw it back to the Planning Commission. And I'm not sure I like the way that the motion is written, in a way that the council is directing the planning director to go back to the Planning Commission to consider these proposed amendments, because I think that's the council jumping onto an executive side and ordering the planning director to go to a planning commission that is set by the land use article and appointed by the mayor. I think the council's treading on territory that could be considered executive. So, and that's my statement.
Oh, maybe I'll ask, if you don't mind, I'll first ask for a town attorney thought on it. Not an opinion, but just see if I'm thinking the correct way on this. Since it's a legally approved document, a motion is just asking them to look at something, correct? To officially change it, which is what I take this motion is really getting at, it needs to be an ordinance. It just should not be a motion, right? I mean, it needs to be a legal ordinance that we vote on, the public can come do it. It totally reopens the master plan, just not for these specific properties or reason, but it's like a piece of statute, I look at it. If it's reopened, anything could happen to it. It just can't be limited to this. A planning commission could come up, not saying we would, But I could see it coming up with a totally different master plan that we would have to approve again. And that is troublesome. As the mayor was saying, if it comes back, the council at the time votes it down. While I can get it, it's just, we need a legal footing to open this, just not a motion, because it's almost legislative stepping on the executive body and staff via a motion.
Well, first of all.
Sorry, Tom, didn't mean to put you, it's more legal thought.
So, first of all, there's an entire section of the state code devoted to the process by which a master plan would or could be amended sort of midstream, that is to say, between the tens.
Yeah,
right?
5 years. Yeah.
And that basically involves the same process by which the original master plan that you're currently living under was approved. So you've got a lot of process at the planning commission level. As I don't know about an ordinance. I don't think an ordinance can change the master plan, but as I read the process, it is that the planning commission would have to initiate a set of amendments, hold the public hearings that you're supposed to have, get the comments that you're supposed to have, and then ultimately it makes a recommendation as to the amendments that come to the town council. And then the town council, votes or changes it or does what it's going to do with it. I don't know if you want me to go further on that, but
That's good enough for now, because I believe that state code says we can amend it in 5 years. Normally, there's a five-year review, kind of standard review is 5 years, I think, isn't it? Or is it?
you can amend them
Anytime, I think, but I think the normal review to go to planning is every 5 years, is 5 to 10.
It's 10 years.
Okay, maybe I'm.
Every 10 years.
Maybe heard
is,
different.
A new master plan is supposed to be
But
adopted.
does the mayor object, or the commission, or the council president object if I ask planning chair Gent to get up and ask and do his thoughts on this? Since he is chair of.
I'm good with him giving his thoughts, but let's just run through the council
Okay,
first.
that's fine.
Just get any questions that the council might have
Okay.
at first,
Mr. Ralph,
and then we can
hold up, Ralph.
All right,
have Ralph join.
just when we're done. Thank you, council president.
Yep, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done, good enough, yeah.
All right. Guys, anything? Okay. I would agree just with the wording as far as this motion's concerned. We don't have the jurisdiction or the power to direct the planning director. I think it would be better worded that we, as a council, if we vote on this, or when we vote on this motion, that we would make a motion to ask the mayor if he would be willing to coordinate with the planning director regarding amendments to be made to the master plan via the planning commission. So I think the terminology should be that when we vote on this, it would be a request to the mayor to speak with the planning director to coordinate with the planning commission regarding the possible amendments that we'll be talking about. So that is being said, because I would agree that it would be kind of going on the executive side, which we don't have jurisdiction in. So,
Council President, one point, also along with that, it wouldn't be opening up the entire master plan, correct?
no,
Yeah, this motion would be for something specific.
no. So, and that was something that, myself and Steve, and I've talked to our town attorney, obviously, prior to this meeting, is that if it is in writing, and we said we would limit what is on there, which is to the properties that were turned down, and that's what we'll be going to the planning commission to ask guidance for, and then coming back, which is perfectly fine to do. So that would be what we are doing. Any other?
No, I'd like the clarification of the limited
Yeah.
properties, or the limited scope, but I'm still concerned that some can of worms.
Well, the amendments that the planning commission proposes is in the power of the planning commission. Again, though, it comes to this body to either approve or not approve. So at the end of the day, whatever the scope may be, it's your power to limit it when the time comes by accepting or rejecting amendments that are proposed.
Yep. Ralph, would you like to join? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll be succinct here. So the land use article, and to back up the town attorney, the Planning Commission, just as it does draft the original plan, the Planning Commission across the state also addresses any suggested amendments or edits to the master plan. I just remind the council that, as it was stated earlier, amendment process is exactly the same as the origination of the master plan. And by that I mean we would then have to schedule workshops to go through whatever limited scope is stipulated in the amendments. Secondly, we are forced under the state land use article to conduct 60-day reviews with Frederick County, 60-day review with Carroll County, and a 60-day review with the Maryland Department of Planning, MDP. All three of those can run concurrently, as we did with the original draft that we provided the council. But I just mentioned that 60-day, 2-month period is given to those entities in order for them to look at the suggested amendment. Secondly, after those comments come back from those three entities, we then have to hold workshops to, of course, go through their suggestions, their feedback, et cetera. And we also are required to hold a public hearing with regard to what we believe are the final edits from all that input and our own workshop input. So again, all I'm trying to do is just make you understand, for the purpose of this specific area, it has to entail the entire process. If I can just offer a recommendation on this motion, and that is, and there was a reference to 2028, state law does require every municipality's master plan to provide a status of success or suggested changes, or just how well is the master plan being implemented in your municipality at the 5-year mark. So that's the midpoint mark. For the purposes of Mount Airy, that's 2028. My suggestion is, let's look at the master plan's implementation. It is a prescription for growing the town to reaching a vision through some very succinct goals. And I totally understand, and being realistic, some of that may be a rocky road, some of that may go, some of that may sell, it may not sell with public input as to each implementation. There are some for, there are some against as we work through that. My suggestion would be, let's collect those rough edges where something like rezoning hasn't been entirely accomplished. We have other areas of the master plan. Of course, as you know, we have rehabilitation, other areas that we want to try to implement in the 10-year master plan. So my suggestion is, on the issues of rezoning, I don't see an urgency for us to go after it right now, given the fact that we have to now engage a very lengthy process of perhaps up to a whole year. I would say let's parking lot, if I can use that term, those areas which didn't get implemented exactly according to the plan, with an aim toward 2028 for us to collect all those and then bring them all together and say, all these things within the original master plan bear another review and bear another possible set of amendments. And then we can report to the state, as we're required to do, here's some things that worked in the master plan, here's some things that have not worked, and we're going to make the appropriate adjustments. And we do all that at that time.
Don't run away, I got a question for you. So my question for you is, the Planning Commission worked hard on the current master plan. If we were to open all these zonings, is it a fair statement to say that the Planning Commission has already given their best recommendation? Would you end up, I mean, it's kind of like we're forcing the hand of the Planning Commission to go back with something that they were comfortable with, and say, no, we didn't like it, so we want you to change it. But isn't that, the product that you gave us was the result of the collective decisions of the planning commission?
Mayor, indeed it was, and with the information we had at that time, as a caveat to the answer, and just being open, perhaps at a 2028 review period, property owners have changed, vision is being tweaked as to where commercial, because a lot of this, as it was mentioned, the 20 properties at the end of South Main Street, we're going to go CC or LC. Perhaps circumstances economically within the town would say that's not a good idea because of, and I'm just throwing this out there, because we've increased our borders through annexations on other areas of the periphery of the town. Perhaps we may acquire in the next 5 years more optimal, if I could use that term, better locations to consider commercial expansion or commercial development rather than that area there. As it was said during the workshops that we held, the commissioners felt like we needed to provide some prescription to the council members with where commercial development could occur. And if you recall, we went through a complete inventory of the property that could have infill or adjustments. Infill, nothing there, but we could put some commercial opportunities on that. And then the other properties where there was some occupation, but they were stagnant, they could be developed. And in that, a real summary of all that message was, these are small parcels for that opportunity. We saw a large area available near the I-70 interchange, the area of that South Mountain area, the largest of which was a property owner who was very positive toward going commercial. And so that's how that prescription developed for that area being CCLC. And then lastly, again, as I mentioned earlier, our process during the original draft included a public hearing. We got zero pushback at our public hearing from those property owners. They just came later during the council resolution, so.
Thank you.
Real quick, sorry, Ralph.
You got a question for him?
Sure. Kind of, and it's not too often that me and the mayor are on separate sides here, so this will be a little interesting, but I would agree that the planning commission put forth its best master plan, and I think it's great, personally. But I would ask, it wasn't just the planning commission that put together this master plan. If it had to do with streets and roads, you went to the Streets and Roads Commission, and you might have already had a pre-draft or something that you guys thought was great. You went to them, they gave you reviews, you implemented the revisions accordingly, correct? Same with Cole, which I was a part of with Cole. So it wasn't just one body creating an entire master plan. You guys put your best thoughts together, you then sent it off to each individual commission, got all of their input, and then you revised it based on the input from those commissions.
Totally correct, and total engagement. We knew at the outset, once we laid the chapters down and each chapter focusing on a certain area, we wanted to make sure that if the town had a commission of volunteers that were focused on that area, that was key input that we had to have. They were the subject matter experts, so to speak, within that area. Recs and parks, streets and roads, complete streets, concepts that we put into the master plan. And so we leaned really heavily on their review and their feedback. On occasion, it was a bit of a tug of war to get the information from them, but we made it clear at the outset, and I know Co-Chair Hatley and I, we really went out and banged on the doors to try to say, hey, you're important in this part of the master plan, in this chapter.
Yeah.
And one more point, and that is from each of the goals, we then developed implementing objectives. And then we also said, every objective is going to have an objective leader. And almost all of those objective leaders are then derived from those commissions.
Right.
And the objective leader is the so-called accountable person to start the ball rolling to get that objective toward that goal, which then supports the vision.
Correct.
So that was the hierarchy we created, and yes, we leaned on the commissions heavily.
Right, and it's a great process. My question, I guess my point in stating that is, when it comes to rezonings, that is the planning commission. So my question is, that's where the council, in my opinion, comes in, because the council listens to the people.
Right.
And we never got that opportunity. So the rezonings were not vetted the way that the rest of the master plan was by its commission members. There was no other commission members to look at to even discuss the possibilities of these rezonings. It was strictly just the planning commission. Every other portion of our master plan that was put together very, very well, and your plan and your implementation and the way that you accomplished what you planned was perfect. But when it comes to the rezonings, there was nobody else to look at for possibilities of revisions, for getting secondary input outside of just your specific body. And that's where I believe I have the issue, because every other aspect that was written was looked at by not just the planning commission, but by other bodies that were put together of town members. So to me, when we talk about these revisions, and this is what I mean, when we talk about these revisions that were done in every other aspect of the planning or of the master plan being created and implemented, because we wanted, and you wanted, as much input as humanly possible to come up with the best possibility, right? The best possible version of the master plan for the next 10 years. The rezonings, that just didn't happen. You know, we are with just the planning commission's thoughts.
I don't disagree with you, but I would offer that when we came up with the focus study on where do we want to prescribe commercial opportunity for the town, if the town wants to expand commercially those businesses, we wanted to have a little underpinning understanding. So we went to the EDC at that time, the Economic Development Commission.
Right.
And we did have a conversation with them about what was foreseen as a viable commercial expansion, what kinds of businesses. We offered the EDC the thought of, as I mentioned earlier, the aging demographics of the town, and would medical facilities be an appropriate commercial enterprise, medical campuses, medical providers, be a reasonable commercial business expansion within the town, so that we could grow some of our own providers, or at least provide the land and the opportunity for that. Again, leaning on the EDC to give us some feedback on that. We also went to Cole, and we talked to Cole to verify that we had this assumption that the aging demographics really had a need. As they looked out over 10 years, they saw Frederick and Thomas Johnson Drive providers getting to maximum capacity, because as it was reported earlier, Frederick County is just busting. They are growing. We're getting 1,010 homes just next door to us in Newmarket. So those folks are going to need medical facilities. They're going to start swamping the Frederick availability, if you follow me. So again, there were two commissions that we did tap into to verify our assumption that commercial medical facilities would be a viable, reasonable growth area of business growth. And then we also, we went to the EDC and Cole to verify those assumptions.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's-
a slight interaction, not as heavy as, say, Parks and Recs, Recs and Parks and Streets and Roads perhaps, but yeah, we did interface with them.
Yeah, and I think that, and I think that's great. I think, you know, if this body, who is actually tasked with voting to actually rezone or not rezone, had the opportunity to take a look at it, we'd probably be sitting with a different master plan right now.
Sure.
And that's where kind of that issue for me comes up, is that we just didn't have that opportunity. Because if I'm looking at the medical facility needs, one, because we zone Voslo CC, we have no say in what comes in there. We could say it'd be great for medical, but that doesn't mean that that's going to happen.
That's true.
We also have already implemented plenty of medical facility needs from the master plan, and we just did a whole review on one that's going in within the next 12 to 18 months.
Correct.
Right? So we could want anything. It doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen. And I think, again, where I do think the wording of this motion needs to change so that we don't step on the executive side of things. I do think that the process, only when it pertains to these possible rezonings being amended, I think that it's something that probably should be done. And I know it puts a lot on the volunteers, and I'm not trying to do that. It's just, I think that, that portion leaves us a little viable, a little open. I'm not too keen about being that from a town perspective.
And maybe it's just me, I don't have a total appreciation for a concern or risk of legal openness. I'm not sure of that, because rezonings can only occur if the council wishes to draft such a resolution and then go through the public hearing process as we're all experienced with recently. The presence of rezoning prescriptions in the master plan and whether the current property owner agrees with it or not, I don't see a legal risk in that, but I defer to the town attorney. I think master plans often contain prescriptions that don't have 100% agreement with either the property owner or the town. For instance, we have a large section on how we can improve and rehabilitate some properties. I would guess that some of those property owners are probably going to push back. And when that occurs, are we now going to shift to amending the master plan because suddenly now someone says the area off Center Street that is stagnant and looks bad, the owner says not no, but heck no, and we now go into an amendment process?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So I would, again, but nonetheless, we would have that dialogue. We would understand the property owner's issues, of course. We would have the public hearing on that resolution if that resolution was made for that area of the master plan. And then again, I think, we would collect all this feedback in implementing it, some good, some not, some yes, some no, and then we would examine that at the 5-year mark to say, is there enough here for us to warrant a report to the state, which is mandated, on what we want to do to make it closer to the current community's feelings? Is that the best way I can say it? Yeah, because right now I understand on the rezonings, there's community sentiment against some of those rezonings. But things may change, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I'll ask Tom.
Well, so do we want to do that in public? My advice? We can, but
I would rather hold it.
people have ears.
May I?
I would rather hold a closed session next month if it doesn't fit into anything this month. Sorry, Council President, didn't mean to.
Tell you what, we're going to take a 5-minute recess. About that, wanted to just have a couple quick conversations, and we'll open back up for comment between the council.
Oh.
Go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
Some other comments and part in response to Commissioner Gent. So first I want to say, so I was the liaison on the Economic Development Commission. And I remember working with them to try and get some of their thoughts pulled together on the master plan. And eventually I was successful in that. And I sat in on the meeting where the EDC discussed their thoughts. And their thoughts regarding that whole the tip of South Main Street to include, I think there's like a 130-acre parcel of land that was proposed for annexation. Their thought was they didn't think that we should be pushing for a large medical campus. They suggested the town might need warehousing space, and they also suggested the need for a big medical complex would be driven by the medical industry, not by the town. And I believe I provided a summary write-up of that to the Planning Commission. So I'll go back and find that. But my point is, the tone of, well, we talked to the EDC and they supported all this medical growth, I don't believe that's accurate. The second point is, just a reminder again, the council already voted against that set of 17 to 20 properties. So clearly there is a schism between the vision in the master plan that all that be commercial and the vision of this council, because we said we don't want that through our votes. Another comment, by asking through the mayor to the planning director, to the planning commission to consider these proposed amendments, I appreciate Commissioner Gentz, but there are 7 members of the planning commission. Shouldn't they have the opportunity to consider these amendments and express their views? They're part of the planning commission. Recall there was a public hearing on the master plan, and there was a line out the door from people on South Main Street that said, "Why are you rezoning my property? I never asked for this." 95% of the people who own property said, "I don't want this." Some of them were close to tears saying that. So I don't understand, because I don't believe those rezonings that are in the master plan were even properly vetted. I saw no technical underpinnings from the town planning staff that said why they were recommending those properties to be rezoned. There was nothing. It's a house of cards. Those rezoning recommendations are based on a house of cards. And I asked the mayor back in May for the town staff's rationale for who requested the zonings, on what date, what the town staff's rationale was for recommending those rezonings. And I still haven't gotten that information. So this is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this because I believe it as a council member. I think it's governmental malpractice to not go back and revisit those properties, because I think it's based on a house of cards. The citizens there don't want the properties rezoned, and it's a total different vision now from what the council said they wanted, because they rejected it through the votes. And I think there is some sentiment within the Planning Commission that some of these rezonings were rushed, and even an annexation might have been rushed. So I don't think it's just me. Thank you for listening.
All right, I'm gonna, real quick, see if we can just
Table this.
make a motion to table until next month. I think that we need to look into this a little bit further. One, I think two, the wording of the motion should probably be corrected so that we're not doing anything. So right now, I'll just make a motion to table until next month.
I'll
Put it on the agenda.
second, sorry.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it, sir.
Do I need to accept that motion?
Oh, well, yes, you will.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, so is there anything else you'd like to add to that in terms of the steps forward, or not?
No, right now, I think I'd like to table it. I want to get some more information from our town attorney. which I think we can do. And then that way, we're not opening up some unintended consequences, et cetera, over the next, we can go the next 30 days, kind of really fine tooth this thing and make sure that it's a good product moving forward.
Okay.
If we do. So I'll make a,
I have a recommendation, parliamentary, postpone as opposed to table. If you
I'm sorry,
table it,
we need to change it.
Yeah.
If we need to change it, so I'll make a motion to postpone if Councilmember Demoter would accept.
And postponing is defined as, again, remind me what that means?
postponing means that you can change what you've drafted between now and next month. If we table it, it comes back exactly as you wrote it. If you
Okay.
postpone it, then you can modify it.
Yeah, so my table amendment would be to postpone until
Okay.
next month.
So a comment and then a response to your motion. I believe the town attorney did send to all of us as a confidential document and privileged document his thoughts about the situation. And I think my motion is in alignment with some of the guidance we've gotten. Having said that, I accept your motion to postpone this to the next council meeting.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion or a table amendment. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor of postponing this discussion or this motion until what, Chief Ginevra's got me all mixed up in my mind.
October.
It actually will be the October meeting. Okay. Postponing this amendment to the October meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, next up, we're moving into a closed meeting. First one will be to consult with counsel to contain legal advice on litigation, and then we have another closed session related to land acquisition. We will roll call into that closed session, and at the conclusion of that closed session, this meeting will be adjourned. Councilmember Demoter.
Aye.
Councilmember Munder.
Aye.
Council Secretary Evans.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. We'll see everybody next month.